Hey, what's going on? Of course, to all of my freaks and geeks, and of course, my fine Asian daddies, plus my, of course, Asian addicts out there. I am Amira Blaze, and welcome back, guys, to another fine episode of Sin TV Now. Of course, the program where I bring you smart, intelligent news and a multicultural perspective, of course, about Asian culture and Asian pop culture from a non Asian person. I know that's a lot to take in, but you know what, guys? I always like changing things up, making things interesting here on the program. And yeah, guys, that's what we're going to do. You guys know, I am a non-Asian person, but I am an Asian addict, and I mean that in a good way. I am obsessed with anything like pretty much anything relating around Asian culture. It's my life mission, and I really want um to bring positivity instead of stereotypes, which happens a lot of times when some people think about Asian culture and especially Asian pop culture. And guys, I am happy to announce, guys, you guys wanted for me to get back into interviewing. You love my interviews with people from all different interesting professions. But guys, I also made it part of the mission of TV Now, pardon me, um, to interview very interesting Asian people as well and hearing their story, because I think that's important. I mean, on one hand, you're getting my perspective, but I think it's also important to talk to Asian people from all over and sharing their stories and experiences. And guys, I am really, really, really honored to have gotten an interview that I never thought I would be able to do on this program. And this gentleman's name is V. Lakshman. And in case you do not know about him, he is not only a video game designer, guys, and had the chance to work with Bethesda, okay? And I'm sure you're familiar with I don't know, a series of games that are called the Elder Scroll games, okay? You know, games like Morrowind and Skyrim and, whatever, the other plethora of games, of course, in this particular series. But yeah, he had a chance to be able to work on the formation of that, which is totally awesome. And besides that, I mean, well-rounded gentleman has mastered certain martial arts, and he's done it all, guys. And also, on top of that, if you guys know, definitely the time, at the time he was getting involved with Bethesda and things like that. And this is just my opinion, there was not always a presence of minorities who were interested in video games and, being proud of that and being upfront, liking things like Dungeons and Dragons. So, guys, that's going to be coming up this Sunday. I am debuting what I like to call the Sin TV Now podcast, where we're focusing, of course, smart, intelligent news and talking about Asian culture and Asian pop culture from a non-Asian person, giving you the other side, of course, of that multicultural perspective. So, guys, I am really excited to be able to interview him. I have so many questions. I really wonder, like, how was it like back in the day to work for Bethesda? Like that had to be. It's going to be very interesting. So I'm really happy about that, and I was holding it in. I was holding it in, and I wanted to wait. But yeah, Sunday, I am so excited for the Sin TV Now podcast, and yeah, I'm doing my best to get as many interviews on the program as I can. But guys, you got to realize that, scheduling an interview and getting it together, um, excuse me, it can take some time. But guys, without further ado, I got a new segment for you called Unconventional Opinions. This is going to be replacing where I used to call The Library is Now Open. And this is where, guys, I'm just giving you just raw, in your face, no filtered opinions on various topics that sometimes get overlooked, or topics that are very popular right now and need to have a little bit better perspective than what's already out here. So, guys, for the first ever unconventional opinions, we're going to be talking about something that has been very popular here on YouTube and has brought out a lot of different opinions, whether it's feminist, non feminist, men's opinions on this very subject. And that is it classy for women to have tattoos? Because it seems like there's a lot of positivity with women now these days, this generation being very assertive, being confident, and feeling comfortable in their own skin. But at the same time, there's been a lot of pushback against women that have this assertiveness. And this is why I always tell people, because a lot of times when some people think about feminism, it's kind of seen as this ideology of being anti-man, and that is not what feminism to me is about. Feminism is about addressing the social equality of gender and making sure that men and women are being able to have equal opportunity when it comes to things that sometimes women can be seen as and I'm saying this stereotypically, as a disadvantage. So this is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but I really wanted to take the time to kind of study all the different opinions that are out there and really talk about it today. Like, is it classy for women to have tattoos? Because a lot of times when we hear about women having tattoos, they're trashy, they're sluts, and it's not presentable. And the number one thing that I always find interesting with this particular topic as well is when people say, okay, across the board, like, oh, who would want to marry, someone with tattoos? I mean, because tattoos have always had this negative implication. But here's the thing, to be fair, it depends on the society, okay? Because in certain societies, guys, tattoos can be seen as a mark of your status. It can be seen as something that is positive, something that makes you well rounded. So I really wanted to have a fair conversation about this, just from my opinion. And also, guys, in the vicious comment section below, you guys let me know what you think about women with tattoos. So we're going to be getting to that shortly, but you're probably seeing right now, like, what the heck is Hakuoki? And guys, today I have a cultural lesson for you, and we're going to be talking about what are Otomi games for a second here. So Otomi games, guys, are designed to me to reawaken the senses when it comes to romance, okay? And for many women out here, including myself, I'm a hopeless romantic, and these games are really designed to paint the picture of a beautiful romance, but it depends on the story. Some Otomi games are designed for, you build the story and then you have this climactic resolution that turns into, the protagonist getting together with with one of the multiple protagonists. Other times there can be actual life lessons that you can learn. Like, there was one game that I was playing that we will definitely be playing on the show, which is essential Otomi game, that is called Amnesia Memories. And I think a lesson that I kind of learned from playing the game so far is, how do you love someone when you don't remember them? And this is kind of going into the idea, well, for me, of marriage, where they say, in sickness and in health, like, will you love this person if they are not in their normal state of being? Okay. So that could mean that they're sick, or let's say, uh, they are, in a wheelchair and things like that. Like sometimes I think some people take this idea of a relationship or marriage for granted, because when you think about marriage, guys, it is an everlasting, lifelong commitment. And it's something to take seriously, because like, how about your partner, gets amnesia? Will you still love them if they don't know you? And that's the thing I really love about Otomi games, and um about Japanese games in general, is there's always, not always, but sometimes there's a lesson that is to be learned. And for women, love is a very complex thing, and it can be very difficult. And these games are really great, especially for example for single women, because it just allows you, you have a partner that like loves you, and you go through the story, and it's very romantic. And these games are designed for women mainly, but they also have games that are designed for men as well. Um, that are, geared that, you're going through the relationship, you get the girlfriend, that kind of thing. So that's what Hakioki is a very excellent example of a Tomy game, because a lot of times Tomy games get stereotyped for being one thing, and that's not what it is. Okay, Tomy games, just like any genre of video games, you have different variances. And what Hakuoki is really good at is it blends like certain historical elements with the supernatural or the paranormal. And that is what Hakuoki is as a game. It also talks about the Shinsengumi, and that particular time in the Edo period, as well as the later on, and this is in the anime, because not Hakuoki became so popular, guys, in Japan and even here overseas, that what ended up happening is the game got a anime adaptation. And guys, if you have not seen the anime, please go watch that shit. It is so good. I ended up, guys, watching 22 episodes, season 1 and season 2 of Hakuoki, in one day. Okay, so that should tell you how good this game series is, to be an anime. And yeah, it's really, 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 really well done. Okay, so I'm gonna get into a little bit of the plot, just a little bit, so you guys have kind of an idea. Okay, so we're gonna be playing the main protagonist. Her name is Chizuru. Okay, so Chizuru Yukimura heads to Kyoto to search for her father. Okay, and then what ends up happening, guys, is she finds herself like being attacked by these crazy, like, vampiric dudes, and you'll find out a little bit more as we like play along. If you want more information, I will have the link below for the Wikipedia, because that'll kind of get you a little bit more informed. But yeah, you got a lot. It's not the exact history, so that's one thing I just want to be clear of, is this kind of plays on certain historical things that happened that particular time period in Japan, because the Edo period was very interesting, guys. It was a period of transition for Japan, because they're going from, having an emperor, and then being transitioned into like this invasion of like the West. And swords are going out of style, but there's still people trying to hold on to the traditions of Japan. And then on top of that, you have this westernization of guns and things, that the many Japanese people, this was new. But then one thing people don't realize is that eventually a lot of of Japanese people adapted to this technology as well. Because what's one thing we've kind of learned about culture is you have to adapt in order to retain your culture and survive. But the other thing that kind of sucks is once a new culture kind of evades your country, you lose your sense of identity. And that's what's really interesting about Hakioki is it kind of plays on this fine line. And you guys will we'll be going chapter by chapter, and we'll be introduced to all of the characters. And Hakioki also, as an interesting fact too, guys, it actually got, besides the Otomi games, the games got expanded into a game that's similar to like Dynasty Warriors, where you can actually play one of the Shinsengumi, and you like fight all kinds of really cool enemies. So if I have a chance, I will have to get that game. But without further ado, guys, let's play Hakioki Ito Blossoms. Now, this version that I'm going to be playing is on Steam. So this has some it's kind of a really good package because you get all of the previous events from the PSP versions, and it's updated and the graphics look a lot better. I also have the sequel to this, which is Kyoto Blossoms, but we'll get into that. We're going to play through all of the guys, and they're all hot. I just don't like the shorter guy. He's not my type, but you'll know who my type is because I will be gagging darling, okay? So let's play Hakioki Ito Blossoms. All right. So I'm gonna let the intro introduction kind of run just a little bit, because I want you guys to see. Well, we'll do it next time here, because I want you guys to actually see the introduction to the game. We'll do that next time. I'll make sure that we'll get into it here in a moment here. Yeah, so give me one moment here, guys. Sorry about this. Okay, so we'll get into it right now. Okay, so you can start a new game, you can continue, but for me, they have a gallery. I got all the settings, and once we played through the main game, then there's DLC. I bought the DLC immediately, okay? Because you know me, I like me, some extra content that if I can spend as much time with these fine guys as possible, okay? All right, so let's play a new game. All right, and we are Chizuru, and there's Chizuru right there. And you'll find out what's kind of funny about Chizuru here in a moment. Okay, so let me see here. All right, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna just keep, you can name her whatever, but we're gonna, for story purposes, we'll keep her to Chizuru, okay? So let's confirm. Yep, Chizuru. And here's the cool thing, guys. You can play this game with either your mouse and keyboard, but I am currently playing with a controller. So both Ito and Kyoto for Hakioki, they both are controller supported. So, all right, let's say yes. Oh, I'm so excited, guys. Oh, we can pick who we want. Oh, okay, guys. So I gotta tell you who I love. Okay, so Toshizo Hajikata. He is my favorite, guys. He is so sexy. He's like mature, but he still has like a quiet side. But he's very caring and nurturing. And guys, let me tell you, season 2, when he cuts his hair, I lost my shit. He was so hot. So I like him. I also like Hajime. Soji, you'll find out what happens to him. It's kind of unfortunate. Shinosuke I like too, because he's got that bad guy side. But what woman doesn't like a little, a little bad, a little rough to them, just a little something, right? No. I also like Keisuke. He's fine too. Alright, so you can pick one of the characters here to be your, I think, the main story or love interest. So we're picking Toshiro, okay? Because he's my favorite. So we'll start with him first. And we'll start with his story. All right. Woo, guys, I'm so excited. I wanted to play this for like ever. Do you see his short hair? Oh my gosh, I'm gagging. Gagging, gagging. He's so hot. He is so hot. Okay. So this is a prologue. Oh, long hair, short hair, I don't care. He's really hot. He's really hot. Oh, he's so hot. Winter 1864. In order to find my father, with whom I've lost contact, I, Chizuru Yukimura, visited Kyoto. In that city, I bore witness to a horrifying secret hidden within a group called the Shinsengumi, the Fury, a creature with white hair and crimson eyes. Luckily, I was saved from the vicious, pardon me, I can't even talk, I'm so excited. The vicious clutches of the Furies by Sato and Okita of the Shinsengumi, and perhaps most importantly, Tozero Hijikata. Ooh, Hijikata, I swear, he's so hot, yo. That's all I'm going to be talking about. Because I had discovered the Shinsugumi's secrets, it was proposed that I live with the Shinsugumi men, since they were also searching for my father. As such, I was to serve under Hijikata as the commander's page, a role I performed proudly. I'm sure you did, girl. Okay, no. So thus began my life with the Shinsengumi. I heard rumors, well, whispers really, that the Shinsengumi was a little more than a bunch of crooked ronin, but my life with them proved otherwise. Their commitment to protect the safety of Kyoto made them the last of a dying breed, true samurai. It set them apart from those who only craved power. The man tasked with leading the Shinsengumi through these trying times was Hijikata, who perhaps was better known as the Demon Commander. That'll be coming in a little bit more later. You'll find out why he's called that. However, as I spent more time with him, I realized that this facade was a front in order to motivate his men in times where victory seemed impossible. And that is true samurai, guys. We'll be talking about the samurai in a history lesson because they really did play a very important role throughout this period. I remember one such time, 3 men claiming to be demons, Chichikare Zazuma and Izuru Akim. I'm sorry, guys, my Japanese is bad. Akimagiri and Kyo Shiranui confronted the Shinsengumi. I discovered that I too was of demon lineage, which explained why they've been pursuing me. And yeah, you find this out in the anime too. So if you watch the anime and then play the game too, you're kind of getting a similar like story. But it was Hijikata who had been protecting me all along. Those demon guys are hot, I'm just saying. I'm that desperate, guys, right? No. Our situation, however, became increasingly dire. Anti-Shogun sentiments were growing intensely throughout the country, and the war between the Shogun and the Satsuma Shoku seemed inevitable. Then finally, the Battle of Tobiya Fushimi had begun. In order to protect me, Hijikata had drunk from the water of life, which transformed him into a fury and overcame Kazuma in a one-on-one battle. Now, let me give you some backstory on the Furies, okay? So, in the anime, sorry, spoiler alerts here, so you may not want to watch this episode if you're going to watch the anime, but in the anime, Hijikata decides to take the water of life because he felt that that was the only way that he would be able to gain the power to be able to be strong enough to lead his men. He was already strong enough, but I just think he decided to become a fury so he um could use those powers to lead his men and be just ferocious and fury, and like, no pun intended, but you know, ferocious and the power of the fury, right? So what you find out a little bit later is, unfortunately, there's a consequence to being a fury, and a fury does it pretty much transforms you into this vampire like um, creature, or you know, you're no longer human. Okay, you crave blood, and if you're not able to control your fury powers, it makes you like psycho crazy, and you just become this vicious killing machine. It's like ridiculous. So then what you find out a little bit later is that furies have a lifespan. Unfortunately, when they use their powers, it cuts their lifespans. So you'll find out a little bit later how deep the consequences are to being a fury. It's not as cute as you may think. In the anime, they make it look so kick-ass, but if you really think about it, becoming a fury is pretty much a death wish, and it's really unfortunate. The Satsuma and the Koshu, however, were victorious. So the Shinsengumi was forced into fleeing the city they called home, Kyoto, and headed for Edo. So this is where the anime is. If you're watching the anime, it's pretty much season 1 and the start of season 2 kind of kicks in. Chapter 1. The graphics are really good in this game too. This is probably one of the better Otome games that I've played, because most of the Otome games I've played, I can't even compare it, guys. They're like the Android games, which a lot of them suck, unfortunately. Oh, yay, we got an achievement. Would it kill you to smile? Okay, so after arriving in Edo, we stayed at the Kama Inn. Okay, I'm gonna take my all right, let me do this so you guys can actually see what's going on. After arriving in Edo, we stayed at the Kama Inn, which was located in Shizugawa and had normally been designated for Hatamoto exclusively. A recent attempt on Kando's life required that he stayed in Ota. And the cool thing is, guys, you can read the terminology. So those words you see in purple, it kind of gives you a history. It's pretty cool. A recent attempt on Kando's life required that he stayed in Okita, who had contracted tuberculosis and were to stay with Dr. Matsumoto to treat their conditions. Tuberculosis, I don't know what it is in like a lot of like Asian dramas and movies I watch. It's like someone gets tuberculosis. Like, it's crazy. There's always like a running joke when it comes to like tuberculosis. Like, it's crazy. Losing the battle of Tobo Fushimi and Osaka Castle, Lord Yoshinobu, the supreme commander, retreating. The fate of the Shinsengumi grew bleaker, and the troops began openly voicing their doubts and concerns. And there is voiceover, guys, which is awesome. Oh, so hot. Soma was the first to speak out against the naysayers. Normally, such insubordination was met with harsh reprimanding, if not more, but... Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. But things had changed. And if you've played the older version of the game, The first half of the game was on PS3. It started off on PSP, but then it made a PS3 version, so the graphics are not as good as this version. So, and hey, we have Nuna. Nuna, welcome to the show. And Nuna says, I like the music so far. I don't even give a damn about the music, Nuna, because I like these men on the screen right now. Look how damn good looking. Look at those muscles, you know? Like, yeah. The little muscles that they have. No. But welcome. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Man, you definitely, guys, if this was really Shin Segumi, okay, like they would not be even able to talk back to their commander. Like they don't play around, the Shin Segumi, let me tell ya. Harada watched the two men scurry off and sighed.
あいつらの気持ちもわからなくはねえかな。戦になった途端、総大将が真っ先に逃げ出しちまうなんて前代未聞だ。しょうがねえさ。あの人はもともと尊上派の急先鋒、ミート藩の生まれだろ。薩長の奴らが掲げた錦の御旗につくんじまったんだろうぜ。敵から見るとあんなぎょしやすい大将もねえよな。尊上派だろうが砂漠派だろうが関係ねえよ。命かけて戦ってる家来を見捨てて逃げ出すなんざ腰抜け以外の何者でもねえ。この先一体どうなってしまうんでしょうか。近藤さんは怪我で伏せってる。薩長と戦うにも刃物じゃ銃にはかなわねえ。八方塞がりだな。
Nagura sighed, letting his shoulders slump. If the men under you are willing to give their lives for your cause, then the morale can always be raised. Nuna's like, beautiful music, and guys, what more could you ask for? Yeah, a bunch of hot samurai guys, okay? Isn't that, well, maybe that's my dream, okay? Like, I would love, like, a samurai themed wedding. That would be so kick-ass. Like, I would just, have my beautiful outfit on, yes. And there are some fabulous movies, guys, that we'll be reviewing that had female samurais in them. And there's a lot of stereotypes about female samurais too. They were actually not, you did not want to fuck around with female samurais. They were very strong and very confident as their male counterparts. That's why I've always looked up to the femininity of women in Japan, because there's a lot of misconceptions. Japanese women are, they're not like the stereotypical delicate, you know, they are strong as hell mentally and physically. And Japanese women too, one thing I've kind of learned from communicating with women from Japan is that the resiliency, guys, is just amazing, and the strength that they have. So that's some of the misconceptions about women in Japan as an example. And the same thing with men too. Like there's this assumption like, oh, you know, Japanese men are real scrawny and like super beautiful, and it's like, no, like just like any man, men come in all different, you know, shapes, sizes, you know, experiences. So we'll be getting into some negative repercussions of the Otomi genre, because that's one of the stereotypical negative repercussions, is that when you see guys like this, you're like, oh, you know, you should be, you know, like I always tell my friends, like, you gotta be smart enough to realize that not all men in Japan look like this, you know. But regardless, this is a great game, guys. It's great. No matter what odds you may be up against. But Yoshibu, in spite of all of this, chose to retreat. Then what were the Shinsagami supposed to fight for? What were they supposed to do?
お先真っ暗だよな。あれこれ考えても落ち込むだけだし、吉原にでも遊びに行くか。
吉原ですか、この時期に。
バカ野郎、この時期だからこそ永久を養わなきゃならねえんじゃねえか。
Okay, so one thing you'll learn about Shinpachi, he is all about like getting down and partying, okay? So he's Jersey Shore before, he's like the Japanese version of Jersey Shore.
そういえば斉藤さんは一体どこに。最近姿を見かけないんですけど。
Yeah, there were well, I'm talking more from a movie standpoint, but yeah, there are, because most of the time, like when people think of like samurais um in film, they think of the male samurai, but yeah, there are movies with female samurai. And I'm sure there were female samurai around, you know. I mean, like, for example, guys, there are female ninjas as we speak. You can go, they actually, I forgot the name of the village, but it's called like Ninja Village for a reason. You can actually go and train to become a professional ninja. Now, let me tell you guys, becoming a professional ninja is not easy. It's a lot of mental as well as physical training that you have to go through. So no, it's no joke. There's actually a ninja village. Definitely look it up. It's very interesting. But yeah, the more you know, as Nuna would say. But yeah, just to see like a female ninja, guys, is so kick-ass. Like, yeah, it's pretty kick-ass.
斉藤なら怪我人や病人の様子を見るため松本先生のところに出かけてるみたいだぜ。なるほど。
Winning the next battle was of the utmost importance. I knew everyone was giving everything they had, but memories of the peaceful times back in Kyoto were like a candle flickering in the wind, one breath away from darkness. Sometimes I wondered if those memories really happened at all. Ooh, no. One day, an unexpected guest had visited the Kama Inn.
こんにちは。
Oh!
ご無沙汰してます。
Hashiro! Man, what a hottie, right? Yes, it's been a while. Where have you been all my life? See, I like guys like this that have that real nice, like, flowy hair. Oh my gosh. Oh, I believe you were Iba, was it?
トシさんに用事があってきました。
Oh, that voice. I love the way Japanese men talk. Can I say that? I just love the way, like when I hear an Asian man in general speak in their dialect, oh my gosh, it could be English for fuck's sake. I don't even care. Like, it's hot to me, especially like Japanese or Korean or, you know, Tengalu. Oh, it's so sexy to me. I love it. Love it, love it. Sure, please wait a moment. Sometime after I led him to my bedroom. No, I'm kidding. Oh. I am that much of a slut, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm like choked up here. Sometimes after I led Iba to Hijikado's room, murmurs of conversation suddenly became exclamations. Yeah, Japanese sounds so beautiful, yo. Oh, there's my boo right there. That is my man right there, Toshido. You see, guys, why I like him now. Get it? And with that, Hajikara stormed out of the room in a fit. He looked awful when I had come in. Really, all I could hope is that he would be alright. Uh, did something happen?
今日面会する予定の幕臣の方に約束を保護にされそうになっていたので
Oh, well,
知ら
that's
せに来たんです。
shitty. Hijikata had been attempting to gather the shogunate support to launch another campaign against the Satsuma Chiyosu by meeting with Sojigate leaders. Okay, so history lesson here a little bit too. The Sojigate was really with the samurai here. That was pretty much who they bowed their allegiance to. But what I think the samurai, maybe some of them did realize and some of them didn't realize, is that some of the top leaders or politicians were working with some of the people in the West, on their enemy side as well. And you'll see that here in Hakuoki, the just some of the ramifications of betrayal. However, the unwillingness of the Shogunate leaders to entertain Hijikata's desperate initiative means. Do you think the Shogunate doesn't want to fight against the Imperial Army anymore?
何しろ総大将の慶喜公が新政府軍に恭順してしまっていますからね。僕も不用意な行動は慎むようにと上から言われていますし、こういう時は思うままに行動できるトシさんたちのことがそれじゃあ僕はそろそろおいとまします。
Oh, sure, of course. I'm sorry that I couldn't offer you more courtesy in your stay. Things getting interesting up in here. Shortly after Iba had left the Kama Inn, a familiar figure approached me to ask me something.
雪村君、副長は中にいらっしゃいますか？
Okay, so Kai, he plays a very important role as well, but I will just say this. You'll have to watch the anime to get kind of a better dimension of his character. Oh, you just missed him. He stepped out. Did you have business with him?
本当ですか？江戸に戻ってきてからというもの、獅子奮迅の働きぶりですね。
I know. I seriously wonder how he finds the time to sleep, if at all. As far as I knew, Hijikata should have been suffering in agonizing pain during the daylight hours because of his condition, Fury. However, seeing him work as tirelessly as he does, one would have no clue of his affliction at all. And also, guys, sorry, spoilers here. But in the anime, they kind of jump over some things that are in the anime and some that are not. But in the anime, you realize that he is not drinking blood, and if you don't drink blood, it like makes you go crazy, like you go hungry. It's just like us as humans. Like if you don't have food, you go and smack a bitch, because you need to eat something, and water too, like you when you're dehydrated, so what you find out is that Chizuru's blood is very addicting. And one of the scenes in the anime, I found it to be romantic, but you know me, I am the queen of kooky and spooky. So he ends up drinking her blood. And yeah, it was pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not into drinking blood, but that was very romantic, I have to say. If they show it in the game, you'll know what I mean. Shishimara, are you okay? You look a little more gaunt than usual. Like you've lost some weight?
まあ、山崎君が亡くなって仕事が増えましたからね。彼の置き土産ですから、多少きつくてもなんとかこなさないと。
See, Kai has a good heart. Like, I don't know why he's not an option, because He has a good heart. Like, you know me, I like older men. So, like, I would smash that. I'm just saying. So,
それにあれだけ働いてらっしゃる副長を見ていたら俺一人休むなんて到底できませんよ。
and that voice, like, I love that. You know, like, deep. It's hot. I suppose. I knew how Shizumata felt, but he was actually in a position to contribute. I love the music. The music is the music is so perfect. Like, I knew. Like, you know, it just gives that right, like, romantic, like, tone, I swear. And Nuna's like, dang, I need to watch this anime. Let me tell you, girl, the anime is popping. It is happening. It gives you action, romance, thriller, the supernatural, good versus evil. Everything you could want in an anime is all blended in that, like, and the fact that it's a shorter anime and it has that, because sometimes shorter animes suck, okay, because they're trying to cram at all the plot and all the events into like 12 episodes, but they really did a good job spreading out the action and the suspense. It does make you want to watch more. Like I said, guys, at the beginning of today's episode, I sat down and watched season 1 and season 2, 22 episodes in one day. Now there are a couple movies as well as the third season. Now the third season is kind of like a flashback of before all of the events of the first two seasons. So make sure you watch them in order, or else you'll kind of get like what the heck, you know? But the only thing that pissed me off, guys, is the ending. I'm not gonna spoil that for you. If you watch it, you will let me know, because the ending was total bullshit and I was mad because it leaves you like, what? Like, you got me watching all this and then you give me this. Okay, okay. It's ridiculous. Unlike Shishimada, there was nothing I could do for Hikata, even though I learned to be involved and do whatever I could to help him. In and out of the bedroom. No, I'm kidding. The day he died, Inone had told me, while I might not be as much help to Shin Sugumi as a warrior, there are other ways that I might be of service. But what could I do for them? I thought about that every day since Inone and Yamazaki had died, but I had yet to think of what it was that I could do.
それじゃあ俺は他にも用事があるので出かけてきます。
Yes, of course. Please be careful.
そうそう、最近辻斬りが増えているらしいですからね。夜の外出は控えてください。
Okay. Shizumata nodded and then lifted himself heavily to his feet and left. Later that night. Anytime nighttime comes, I just get sexy. I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't just be going right into slut mode, but you know, it happens. I digress. Later that night, I was waiting in the empty common room for the captains to return. I sat idly, twirling my hands and my fingers, when I saw...
Yo, Chizuru.
See, he's not my favorite. This is Hisuke Toro. He's funny, but he's just not my type. I just don't like this kind of guy, you know? Oh, Hisuke, where's everyone else?
新八さんと佐野さんなら大使を連れて吉原に遊びに行っちまったよ。で、俺が留守番させられてるってわけ。俺あの人たちの使いっ走りでもなんでもねえんだけどな。雑用押し付けられても困っちまうぜ。まあ、以前と変わらない扱いをしてくれるっていうのは嬉しいけどさ。
His laugh sounded small and lonely in the empty hall. Oh, that reminds me. Do you know where Sana is? Did he go somewhere?
三男さんなら見回りだってさ。
Patrol, but we're not in Kyoto anymore. No one's asked us to keep the place in Edo. Why is he still doing it? Izuke's face turned solemn, as if he were quietly searching for words while I waited in front of him. And then,
最近三男さんの様子がおかしいんだ。今日も夜になってからいきなり見回りしてきますなんて言い出して、俺も一緒に行くって言ったんだけど、一人で平気だって言われちまってさ。
oh. Well, I heard that there've been a lot of killings at night recently. Maybe he went out to see if he could learn anything about that. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good, guys. Oh, shit. He may have not been the same authority he had in Kyoto, but the Shinsengumi still worked for the shogunate. Perhaps Sanan was simply trying to protect Edo, regardless of whether he's been asked or not.
ならいいんだけどな。
Izuke didn't really sound like he actually thought it was, however. Ooh, no, I'm being stupid. That's my boo right there. Oh, Hijikata, welcome back.
なんだ、まだ起きてやがったのか。
I mean, I was waiting for you, fool. Like, what do you expect? You want me to, like, just sit here and just be, like, all up in my feelings? And, okay. See, I wouldn't survive in the Edo period because I'd be cussing bitches up, okay? Like, I seriously would be cussing them out. I'd be like, look, I got all sexy for you. And then you want to bitch at me about still being up? Get your life. You've been canceled. I'm sorry, Hikata. Get your shit together. But see, women couldn't talk like that, so I would get in so much trouble in the Edo period, guys. Like, His face was still pale, but his tone was sharp. As I watched, I realized that he was only barely standing. He shook just slightly as he moved, and I got the feeling that he let his concentration slip. Even a little, he would simply collapse. His legs wobbled underneath his kimono, and he curled his lips bitterly. Oh my gosh, okay, we got the first choice. First choice. Okay, so we got Hikata, you should rest, or is there anything I can do? Which one we should go with? Which one should we go with? Because, guys, this game has, like, I think over 10 different endings plus. Like, it's ridiculous. Okay, so we could be really sweet, like, typical anime woman and be like, Hikata, you should rest. Or you should be like, bitch, is there anything I can do? Because I could do something for you. No. There were no ratchet women in the Edo period, guys. Let me just clarify, okay? Okay, so should we pick, you should rest? Or is there anything we can do? Should rest. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. And if no one says anything, I'm gonna pick that shit. Anything I can do? Okay, so that's option 1, and this option 2. Okay, so Nuna says we should be typical anime woman, typical anime lady, and we should be like Hikata, pardon me. I'm saying it wrong. It's late, guys. I'm sorry. Or Hijikata. There we go. Hijikata, you should rest. Okay, so let's do that. Hijikata, you're the one that should be resting. You don't look very good. He looked at me, and I felt as suddenly I stepped into a blizzard. Oh, he pissed with us. What the fuck? Okay, first off, I stayed up all up for you, fool. I had cucumbers under my eyes, and I stayed up for you. I'm ruining my beautiful skin What did you do today? Okay, you did a lot, but still. Okay. Uh, gosh. I know. He was so ratchet for that.
腰の座らねえ幕府のお偉いさん方の尻を蹴っ飛ばさなきゃならねえ。俺以外にそんな真似ができるやつがこの隊にいるのか。口出しするんじゃねえ。
Wow. Damn. I was not girl, I was not expecting that either, because in the anime he's a little bit different. A little bit different. He's still harsh. He's still harsh, but I was not expecting him to respond that way. Ooh. Yeah, whimper is correct. I didn't expect a friendly agreement, but neither had I expect that. Without Kandu to speak on the shogunate on behalf, only Hijikata could hold the Shinsengumi together. At least Hisuke is being the Hisuke is being the voice of reason. Like, that's a bitch ass response. No, it's alright, Hisuke. I turned my back towards Hikata and bowed my head silently. Forgive me, I should have not spoken out of turn. Right. His condition still worried me, but he was a smart man and was aware of his own weakness. But damn, he didn't have to be that rude. Hell no. He is wrong for that. See, his responses like that keep some men single on the real. Like, we be caring about them hardcore and we're like, we just want for you to feel better. I get it, you're a man, but you know, I am gonna worry about you because like I care about you. But since you gonna be like a dick to me, all right, bye, you know. So, geez, that was harsh. It wasn't really my place to say whether or not I thought he was a fit to work as hard as he did. Maybe, just maybe, he'll be okay. Ichigata was buoyed by the simple fact that Kando was alive, and that he had the courage to do what the other leaders would not. He finished his tea quickly and returned to his room with only perseveratory thanks. I tried my best, guys, okay? Yesterday, his light had stayed on late into the night. Today would likely be no different.
でもさ、きついのはきっとこれからだぜ。土方さんはまだ羅刹になったばっかで、吸血衝動は出てないみたいだからな。
Bloodlust?
羅刹になるとな、血を飲みたくて飲みたくて仕方なくなっちまうんだよ。剣の稽古で思いっきりぶったたかれるのなんか、比べ物にならねえくらい苦しくて。
So he's explaining what I was talking about earlier about the consequence of being a fury is you have this ridiculous like psycho bloodlust. It's insane. Oh no! Hijikata already looked terrible. If unbearable pain were suddenly added to his list of many burdens, I would be there for him. I would be his bitch. No kidding. Oh. Yeah, I am fucking up this story, but you know, I do my best to make it interesting, guys. Cause this story gets real serious though, like real serious, real quick. Is there any way to do anything about it?
血を飲めば嘘みたいに良くなっちまう。でもそれはあくまでもその場しのぎに過ぎねえからな。時間が経つとまた苦しくなる。しかも最初の頃は少しの血で良かったのに、そのうち多くの量を飲まなきゃ落ち着かなくなってくるんだ。
I was a loss for words. A monster that could only survive by drinking human blood. It seemed like the kind of monster that you could only hear about in legend. What about you, Hisuke? Are you drinking blood?
頼むから聞かないでくれよ。そういうのは。
He is a fury too, guys. In the anime, this is all taking place in the anime. So he also becomes a fury as well. He made some manner of excuse after that and then shot up. He departed from the common room quietly, leaving me alone with my thoughts of Hijikata. Was he really okay? Had Hijikata already experienced the bloodlust that Hisuke told me about? Did he refuse to tell anyone about his suffering? Nuna got me cracking up. She's like, ooh, he gonna turn soon. I know, this tea is so juicy, this story, right? He could have been in the throes of it when I saw him, but it was clear sooner or later he would find himself in a great deal of pain. He was doing so much for the Shinsengumi. I wanted to do something, anything, to ease that pain. And we all know what that is. I'm kidding. I know. He had been doing research on the Furies. Perhaps he left something useful behind at my house, or that used to be mine. Okay, so you'll learn eventually her dad is a dick. I'm just saying. You'll find out about that later. It was already too late to visit, so I resolved to go the next day, see if I could find anything. The following day, I left a neatly written note behind at the inn for anyone who may have been wondering where I was headed. I departed from my old house in Edo. Hijikata had left long before to meet with several members of the shogunate elite. No one had apparently visited the house in several years, and everything was covered in a thick layer of dust. But then I took out my Swiffer sweeper and made it all better. No kidding. There were no Swiffer sweepers at this. There were no Swiffer sweepers at this time, guys. Oh gosh. Now, where would he keep his Fury research? It must be hidden. It must be somewhere hidden. I brushed off some of the dust with a stack of documents and opened them up. Each one was covered in a barely legible scribbles. It would take me forever to decipher them. No, this was nothing compared to the rest of the Shinsengumi went through. I had to do it. Shoot, I guess that wasn't it either. I sat back on the floor and sighed heavily. My eyes dropped to look at the dusty, unkept floor, and that's when I took out another Swiffer sweeper, and cleaned like hell. The end. No kidding. How foolish I think that I could waltz into my house to find my father's secret document and solve something that had plagued the Shinsengumi for years. No, I couldn't give up. I had to keep trying. Sooner or later, Hijikata will be mine, and then we'll get naked and have tons and tons of sex. The end. No. Hijikata and Hisuke needed my help. I had to find something. From the corner of my eye, I noticed an unmarked fold in the sack. Huh? As I flipped it open, particularly thick sheaf of papers, a small stack fell out and landed on the floor. A cloud of dust floated from its landing place. It appeared to be some kind of... Was it a formula? Is this about the Furies? As I studied it, I realized what I had found. The paper described a medicine that could suppress the Furies' bloodlust, keeping them from losing control. Okay, so guys, this is a little bit different than the anime because the anime, someone else finds it and not her. So just kind of explaining the differences as we go along here. The idea of Hijikata or Hisuke losing control was frightening, but I read on. It seemed that my father returned to Edo just as I left for Kyoto, and while he was in Edo, he mixed up the ingredients for the medicine. I looked over the instructions. The ingredients he used were likely still in the warehouse. With his instructions, I should be able to mix it myself. This shouldn't take too long, right? With my father's medicine, I could save Hijikata, Isuke, and Sanan. I was going to seize this opportunity to help them. And I ran, and I ran, and then I lost my breath. The end. No, I'm kidding. I ran to the warehouse and got to work. Come hell or high water, I would finish this. By the time I finished, night had already fallen, and moonlight peeked through a silver open window. He stood there, looking at me, wondering why it took me so long. No. Oh, guys, sorry. I just like having fun with this game. I remember what Shishimada told me about how many murders have been at night lately, and I stuck to the busy streets as I made my way back to the Kama Inn. Oh. That's my other boo right there. You know me, I like a man with some glasses. Ooh, he is so sexy, let me tell you. Because he's like smart and he's confident. But you'll find out that he's not as nice as we think, right? The backs were turned away from me. I am so sorry, guys, for yawning. It's been a long day for yours truly. So I called out to them to make sure they'd hear me. Sanan! Oh, his voice is so dreamy, guys. Okay, so you'll find one thing that they don't explain here is he injured himself while he was in a battle with Hishikata, and because of that, unfortunately, he cannot use his left hand to hold a sword because samurai who right hand, because using your left hand is kind of considered like not typical for a samurai, and he injures his hand, and because of that he couldn't use his sword, so he became a fury, and then he could use his sword again, which is kind of fucked up. But he is the one that does the research on furies, but you'll find out that I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, his voice is so sexy, yo. I'm sorry. I meant to come back earlier, but I was so busy and I kind of lost track of time, and anyway, I've got something for you. I handed Sana the medicine, which I wrapped in a small piece of paper.
これを
It's medicine to suppress the fury bloodlust. I went back to my house today and found the instructions how to make it. It should make the pain go away, at least for a while. Now, in the anime, guys, it's Sanan who comes up with the solution for suppressing the fury bloodlust, but it's only temporary, guys. After a while, you want to like drink blood again. He looked down at the paper I had handed him, then back to me. Sanan bit his lip coyly before looking into my eyes. And that's when I had to cheat. The end. Okay. He's so sexy, yo. Look at those eyes, guys. Look at those fucking eyes. Look at that hair. Oh.
お返しします。気持ちはありがたいですが、私には必要ありません。
Wait, but without it, you...
我々の吸血衝動は薬などで抑えられるものではありません。抑えれば抑えるほど苦しみは増し、正気を削られていくだけ。
But...
失礼。これからシチューを見回ってまいりますので、これで。
Oh no. Ah. Before I could protest, he was gone, walking briskly down the dim, open street. Without the medicine, what would Sanan do when the bloodlust with the blabber when the bloodlust came? To not only acknowledge but to accept this unsustainable craving as a part of one's life seemed beyond me. No! I remember what Kimigiu had said to us back at the Fushimi magistrate's office. I love Kimi, guys. Like, she's a kick-ass, she's a demon, and she serves this young girl who is like a pure demon. Okay, so let me explain this, okay? So you learned this in the anime, so I'll give a little brief detail. So what this is Furies are pretty much an inorganic version of a pure-blooded demon, okay? But they don't have the same powers and intensity as pure-blooded demons do. The only difference is Hijikata, because of his just natural human strength, like superhuman strength in a way, he is able to fight at a similar level, like pretty much similar level as demons do, which is pretty kick-ass. Kimi Giku, or I call her Kimmy, she serves this young girl who is like a purebred demon for many generations, and she is also related to Chizuru, because you found out early on that Chizuru is a demon herself, but she doesn't embrace it. Demons and humans have become throughout history, they work together, and a lot of times they actually ended up in relationships as well. And Nuna's like, the plot thickens. Da, da, da. No. This is good. Then, are you aware that the Shinsugumi's Furies have been murdering people on the street to test their strength? No, it couldn't be. It was the Shinsugumi's job to protect Kyoto and its citizens. Surely Sanan wouldn't attack people on the street just to satisfy his thirst for blood.
千鶴、俺はその薬飲むよ。
Oh, yes, of course. I handed him the packet that Sanan had so recently refused. He stuffed it into his pockets and started off the street at Sanan's rapidly retreating back.
今日は俺も見回りについていく。
I'm going on patrol with him. Oh shit.
もし三男さんがおかしな真似をしようとしたら全力で止めるから心配すんなよ。
Alright, I'm counting on you, Hisune. Oh, right. Where's Hijikata? Is he back yet?
夕方頃に戻ってきたはずだけどずっと部屋にこもりっきりだぜ。
Oh. I'm going to check on him then. Oh, this is not good, guys. This is not good. Hisune and I said our quick goodbyes, and I made my way into the Kama Inn and up to Hijikata's room. I was hoping that the wave of anxiety I was feeling was a needless one, but I had a very bad feeling about something as I called out to him from behind the sliding door. Hijikata, are you there? I've got something for you. Nothing. I was about to turn away, assuming he was asleep, when the suppressed voice was clearly in pain. Hijikata, I'm coming in. I slid open the door and ran into the room. He was bent over on top of his desk at the back of his room. Sweat poured down his face, and I could hear his teeth squeak horribly as he gritted them. He looked... Hijikata, are you okay? I rushed over by his side. Doesn't he look hot as a fury, guys? I'm just saying. But... He wrapped his arms around his shoulders and squeezed his knuckles, turned white as he glared up at me. His breath came in pants and he shivered violently. It was Hijikata's personality to refuse to show any pain or even any emotion at all, or at least to show as little as possible. For him to be like this, the pain must have been unimaginable. Was this the bloodlust that Hisuke had spoken of? What was I supposed to do? If he drank the medicine my father created, then the pain would likely go away. But Sanan had said that it would only be a temporary solution. Then, should I give him some of my blood? Would Hijikata even want me to give him my blood? What was I going to do? Okay, guys, so we got a good option. Okay, so option 1 is to give him the blood. Option 2 is to give him the medicine. Or option 3, which is fucking terrible, is to make him endure it. So what should we do, guys? I know what option I want to pick right away. But what do you think we should do? I know. Oh, snap. Here we go. Here we go. Things are getting good up in here. So what should we pick? Give him the blood, give him the medicine, or make him endure it. All right, I'll give you guys 5 seconds here. I'm going to pick an option. So we got option 1, option 2, or option 3. Okay, option 1. All right, let's go with that. Give him blood. There was no time to waste. It wasn't the best plan, perhaps, but I couldn't bear him to see him in pain any longer. And besides, at long last, I would finally be useful. Hijikata shook fiercely, and I could only gaze in horror as I imagined how unbearable his pain was. I said nothing. I drew my kodachi. Okay, so guys, a kodachi is like a smaller sword, okay? So it's a samurai sword, but it's shorter, And Kodachi is really good for like close range combat. It's short and very like assassins. If you watch movies, right? Assassins love using shorter, like they still have a regular blade, like regular sword. I forgot the name of it now. A katana, but the Kodachi is a little bit shorter. That's just from what I've read. If I'm incorrect, I know you guys will correct me, but I'm sure it's much better for close range combat, and you have a lot more speed is what it's for. I said nothing, and I drew the Kodachi I kept at my waist. Oh, cool. They show the blood. Oh, that's so awesome. I slid my finger along the edge of the blade, which I barely felt. A bead of thick blood formed over the cut. Please, drink my blood. It'll make you feel better, right? His clothes were drenched in sweat, and he looked like a leaf being swept by the wind. This was it. I couldn't back down. This was my chance to do something for him, to make a difference. But perhaps, most importantly, I just couldn't watch him suffer anymore. Don't worry about me, please. I begged him desperately as I offered him my fingers, oozing out with blood. Though he tried to resist, his eyes were drawn to my finger, to the thick, red blood that slowly beaded and dropped. He balled his fist tightly, but he couldn't resist. He then... Ooh, that's hot. I'm sorry. I know, guys. You guys are gonna think I'm some weirdo, right? Ooh, that's kind of hot, though. Then, he licked the blood from my finger. I felt the soft caress of his tongue as it ran the length of the cut. Then the soft pressure of his teeth and lips as he sucked gently, drawing a few more drops out and in his mouth. I'll be fine. I'm a demon. I heal really fast. Oh, that's so cute though. His breathing had already begun to calm itself. Though his hand on my wrist, I could feel his shaking subsiding as well. At last, I thought I was able to be useful. A few moments later, his hand slipped from my wrist. The cut on my finger had already healed. The split in the flesh began to heal before my eyes, and I stood quietly as Hijikata winced. I'm sorry for being, forward. I, um, I bowed to him. He took a quiet breath and shook his head. A sense of calm seemed to emerge from him.
痩せ我慢してる場合じゃねえってことは俺もよくわかってるんだ。近藤さんを負けさせねえためには化け物にでもなるしかねえんだよな。
You're not a monster to me. Like, I'm sure he's a monster in the bedroom, ladies. Just saying. Like, that was so hot. That's like one of my favorite scenes in this game. It's hot to me for some reason. Like, it's very, very hot. A particular feeling lingered on the surface of my skin. it was almost as though I could still feel his warmth there. And that's called the heebie jeebies. Just saying. The heebie jeebies. I know it's so hot, y'all. So hot. It like gets me hot, let me tell you. Okay, so this is chapter 1. So we'll be getting into this next time, guys, cuz my bitch ass got to get some sleepy sleep. But before I go, we got to talk about the juicy topic or the unconventional opinion about women with tattoos. Is it classy or not? Okay? So this is how I see it. Okay, there's a lot of opinions. The first opinion is women are trashy with it or they're slutty and stuff like that. Here's the way I see it. Okay, tattoos are subjective. So depending on the tattoo you get, you're gonna get all different types of reactions. And most of the women that get tattoos, common sense wise, unless it's hidden, they know that they're going to get some type of reaction. But here is not, to me, here's what's not okay, okay? Many times I've talked to women with tattoos and they tell me that people come up and like grab them, want to look at their tattoos. That is totally not appropriate, okay? Nobody deserves to be grabbed and like, looked at like they're some kind of like object. They're a human being, okay? And from my experience with women with tattoos, most women who have them are really nice. Like if you're polite, okay, sometimes if they say no, they have the right to say no because some tattoos have a very interpersonal or deep meaning that, it's something that they don't need to express. But most people that I've talked to, especially women who have tattoos, if I see it and it looks cool, if it's visible, I always ask them like, hey, I really like your artwork. May I take a closer look at it? And they usually will, because tattoos for some people, if it's done really well, okay, we'll get into that in a moment. They take pride in it. And the tattoo could be any style. It could be, very you could tell it's very intricate and very, you could tell they spent money on that, okay, versus something like a basic design. And people are proud of all those type of tattoos because tattoo quality, guys, it's a spectrum, it varies, okay? But here's my thing I always say for women though, is when it comes to tattoos, you gotta make sure you position the tattoo in a way that works with your figure, okay? Because sometimes you may place a tattoo in an area where, like for example, your stomach. If you're deciding to have children, depending on the design, it may not snap back. Not all women are able to, push out a baby and, look like, a supermodel the next day. Babies, like for example, remember Cardi B when she had Culture? I mean, she gained some weight, and she's slowly starting, she looks great, but she's taking her time, you can tell, to really get off that excess weight. But not every woman snaps back like that. So when you get a stomach tattoo, that's the one thing that you have to consider. The other thing when it comes to the tattoos, and this is for beyond women too, is you gotta understand that when you're getting tattoos, it could affect your career, okay? And what I mean by that is if you are going into something that is a professional field that tends to be conservative. Now, for example, the healthcare industry, that's one area that I'm noticing that is becoming more body art friendly than ever before. I've seen tons of doctors and nurses with tattoos and things like that, which is cool. But there are other professions that are still kind of taking some time to grasp on it, and that is the world of education. Although, I had art teachers that had like tattoos and things, but they were not like heavily, like had heavy amounts of body art. So that's just something that you're gonna have to consider. is once you start putting the full sleeves and things like that, that can affect your future. So that's just something that I would say across the board, especially for women, because women, we still have a lot of stigmas that we have to deal with in society, but especially in careers. So depending on the career that you get, um, and how heavily, how many tattoos and piercings or whatever it may be, that may affect your professional outlook. Now, is it fair? No, I totally disagree with it. I don't think the amount of tattoos that you have on your body dictates your intelligence, okay? Because unfortunately, there's this stereotype, even in other parts of the world, where if you have a lot of tattoos, there's a negative connotation with it. It's seen as primitive, and it's not something in certain cultures um, that you should be proud of. Okay, but in America, the context of tattoos is changing. It's more normalized than I would say 10 years ago. Like I know for me, when I first started seeing tattoos, becoming popular, it wasn't something cool. If you had a lot of tattoos, you were kind of seen as an outsider, or you were kind of part of the creative community, or the art. Like the arts have always embraced people who are different in general, because to me, that's like the foundation of what art, the arts are about. The arts are all about, accepting the rejects and the freaks and all the all those people that normally people would make fun of in normal society, if you want to I if you want to say it like that. But for me, I just women with tattoos, I think it's fine. But I just think that if you decide to get tattoos, just be aware that you will be judged, and you have to be strong enough to handle those judgments. you know you have to be that kind of person where it's like, what, I choose to have these body art on me, or piercings, or whatever you want to do. I have to be aware that people are going to judge me, people are going to stare at me. I'm not going to allow myself to be objectified. I'm not going to allow myself to be seen as primitive. I'm smart and intelligent. My tattoos are just an extension of my expression. And that's how you have to think as a woman, because there are enough barriers that women have to go through in general, and having a lot of tattoos is one of them. Now, the other response that I've found very interesting, and this is something I've kind of noticed on YouTube, is there's a lot of mixed reactions about women with tattoos. There are some people who say that, oh, I don't think it's attractive for a woman to have a full sleeve, or I don't think it's attractive. The other reaction I thought was really interesting was from men, because if you understand the history of tattoos, men that were heavily, had heavy amounts of tattoos, they were seen in a negative light sometimes, and then on top of that, men who have a lot of tattoos, it's the opposite effect that's given, that it's cool, because tattoos are seen as, in many cultures, it's seen as a form of masculinity. It's like, you're testing your pain tolerance, and you're stepping outside. Many times people associate tattoos with being, of course, rebellious, but that context is, in certain cultures, is still applied. But in America, tattoos have become normalized. It's like, it's kind of like the thing that you do. Like, once you become an adult, it's like, oh, I gotta get a tattoo. But that's not the right way, in my opinion, to think about tattoos, because you have to remember, tattoos are permanent, okay? And not everybody can afford to get them lasered off. And guys, let me tell you, I have watched many videos of seeing a tattoo being lasered off. That is a very painful process, okay? It's very, very painful, okay? And especially the other thing you have to consider too is tattoos are going to be different depending on the melanin in your skin too. So you could have someone that's lighter complected and then someone that's darker complected. You could have the same design on the person, but the darker complected person, you're gonna need a different type of ink, you know, and a different technique to show up on darker skin than lighter skin. And the good thing that's happening is slowly but surely happening is shout outs to all the tattoo artists who are specializing in working with people of color, especially people who are darker. Because there's this misconception that if you have darker skin, you can't do tattoos, but you can. Now, I don't know, you know, as a disclaimer, I am not a tattoo expert. You know, I am not a professional tattoo artist myself. This is just from the knowledge that I've kind of been reading on and learning. Um, but I don't think it's a trashy thing. I just find it interesting that there are some men who say that it's not attractive for women to have tattoos. But weren't men in the same place when it came to tattoos too, where people were like, oh, you know, there was a time where if men had tattoos, it was not a cool thing. You didn't talk about it. You know, tattoos were something that were more of a, you know, a secretive thing. You know, you would try to hide it unless you were around people who understood it. So the same way that, you know, men were treated in a negative light, which I also feel is wrong, I don't think, and this is just me, I don't think women should be treated the same way. I don't think that's fair. You know, I respect men who go and they get a lot of tattoos. I think it's absolutely sexy to me when I see a man, he's got all those tattoos and oh, it looks good, you know? But the other thing that I always say is before you get any type of tattoo, guys, make sure you do your research, okay? You want the tattoo artist to be someone who is hygienic. You want that person to be someone who cares about what they're putting on your body. Because tattoos from the get-go have always been a bonding tradition. You know, it's a bonding moment. You know, it might be a special moment in your life. You might be getting married, things like that. But one thing, and this is just me, and I've heard of a lot of tattoo artists advising this, don't get tattoos of your boyfriend's name, your girlfriend's name, you know, things like that, because you never know. If it's your husband, that's going to be up for interpretation. That depends, you know, but divorce is something that is quite common these days. So I would never get a tattoo, that's just me, of someone's, you know, name, because I don't know if I'm going to be with you or not. You know, is this something for the long run? So it's just something to be aware of, guys, is you want to make sure you do your research. There's a lot of health issues that come with tattoos as well. You know, for me, I will never be able to get a tattoo because my skin is ultra sensitive and I deal with a lot of allergies. So my concern is, you know, if I get a tattoo, I might get a reaction to it. You know, so these are things that you have to consider. And for women especially, you should also be aware of what you're putting on your body. You know, at the end of the day, look, do what you're gonna do what you feel is right, okay? But this is just my opinion, okay? At the end of the day, I think it's also important for women to be aware of the placement, because you may, like I said earlier, you may get a tattoo and then like a couple years later, if it's not done right, it looks bad. And we've all seen tattoos that look bad, right? It looks really, really bad. So sometimes it's just good. Put the money in. If you gotta save up for it, go ahead, do that. Just save up for it and go to a professional tattoo artist that knows what they're doing, that is putting good work on you. You know, because that's with you for life, unless you decide to get it lasered off, which is a very painful and ultra expensive process. So I think at the end of the day, let's stop being so critical on women who have tattoos, just like how people slowly but surely started to stop being so critical on men for having tattoos. Because I think it's sexy, that's just me. And I also think it's gorgeous when I see these women that have, I mean, I wish I could have some of these tattoos, guys. I mean, they have like, there was one tattoo I saw on this lady where it was like a painting. It looked like it was airbrushed onto her skin. I had never seen something so beautiful and so well done. I just think that men and women, we need to stop judging each other because it's making it a more difficult place in our, in society for us to be able to live with each other amicably and to respect each other. I respect male tattoo artists just as much as I respect female tattoo artists. And I think it's really important. I have a coloring show that many of you guys know called The Affordable Colorist. And I decided that I wanted to do a tattoo showcase where I would find tattoo artists that I love from around the world, guys, that are on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, that just do amazing work, and maybe contact them and see if I could interview them on the show. Because I've always, even though I don't have any tattoos, I mainly have piercings. But I've always loved like tattoo coloring books, looking at what are called the flashes, are the pictures that you see when you go to a tattoo like parlor, or if you go to a tattoo studio. You will see, a wall. That's what's called flash. I love coloring those in and doing colorings of grayscale tattoo artwork. I love doing stuff like that. That's my way of being involved in the culture without getting tattoos. I know that sounds hypocritical, but you can like things that you don't necessarily you're not necessarily fully a part of like that. But I love the tattoo culture. There's a lot of really good tattoo artists on YouTube, and a lot of really good tattoo like magazines out there. One of my favorite magazine guys that I really enjoy, and they have a great YouTube channel. I highly recommend that you check them out because they have really good advice from all different tattoo artists. It's called Inked, so it's INKD. I'm gonna try to see. I'll reach out to them and see if I can talk to someone from the magazine. But it's called Ink Magazine. And yeah, it's a really, and the reason why I like them, guys, is because they show these strong, confident women that they just have this beautiful tattoo artwork, and they're amazing, and some of them are actually tattoo artists themselves. But I love, as much as I love male tattoo artists, I also love the female tattoo artists as well, because not a lot of them get talked about unless they're really big. Like, for example, like Megan Massacre, who was on, I believe she was on Ink Master. That's a great show. If you guys like tattoos and stuff, Ink Master is a great show. It's pretty cool. But guys, let me know what you think about women with tattoos. Do you think it's classy, or do you just think it's trashy? I think it's a beautiful thing. And I just think women I just feel like women just need to be allowed to just express themselves, it's hard for women to be themselves these days, just like how it's, to be fair, the culture for men, I'm looking at it from a female, perspective, is tough too. There's a lot of pressures, in regards to both sexes. But to specifically talk about women, tattooing is one of them. It's like once a woman gets more than one tattoo or two tattoos, they're seen as not attractive. And there are a lot of research studies, guys, that have talked about this, about how some men just don't find women with tattoos attractive, and that's fine. Every man is, or whatever you're into. is, every person's going to have certain criterias or things that they find attractive. Like, you guys know, I love Asian men, but not everybody loves Asian men. And I recognize that, which breaks my heart because I wish everybody would find Asian men attractive, but we all are attracted to things that are different, or things that we find, that turn us on, and that's okay, for me, I like guys with tattoos. I like, I like Asian men. I like all different types of men, but I won't lie though. I really, Asian men are always my number one preference. But that's my preference, and it's okay. And I'm gonna say this too to the ladies out there. Just like how men have preferences, women have preferences too. And don't be ashamed of that. I felt ashamed for a very long time because of what I was attracted to. And it really broke my heart because I shouldn't feel that way. Um, but I realize now maybe it's just from maturity, that you learn that you have to stop caring what people think. You have to love what you love at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. I tell men the same thing, to be fair. Like, men like all different types of women. There are men who like plus size women. There are men who like a little bit of everything. There are men who only like skinny women. There are men who only like black women. I found that out not too long ago. I was like, well, hallelujah, as Shangela from RuPaul's Drag Race would say. So we all have the things that we like and we desire, and no one should feel ashamed of that. I don't feel ashamed of who I am anymore because I've learned to acknowledge who I am. You know, People are going to be people, and people are going to like the things that they're going to like. And some men like women with tattoos. That doesn't make them trashy because they have tattoos. As Martin Luther King would say, guys, you always have to look at a person by the content of their character. Don't focus on the external. That's only one component of a person. You have to look deeper. You have to look inside, and you have to allow that person to open up to you to have a better understanding of the content of their character, guys. It's very important. But you guys let me know what you think about women with tattoos. I mean, I love them. If you're a lady, you got tattoos, and you want to come, on the show, whether it's Sin TV Now or the Affordable Colorist, let me know. Just let me know. You can send me a message, of course, on Twitter. And you guys can follow me on Twitter too. It's, my Twitter is starting to get a little bit better. I'm kind of lazy, guys. I'm sorry. I got to do a better job. I know social media, you got to be on this shit every day, but you only have so many hours in the day, guys. But I do my best to do this show. And thank you to all of the new people. Thank you to the people who have been just sticking around with all the fuck shit changes I've been doing. But I've always been finding a way to make things stronger and make things better on this program. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the love and the support, and I will continue being strong, and I will continue being me, and I will continue doing this show to the best of my ability. So guys, like I always say, I'll see you guys on Sunday, of course. But like I always say, remember to get smart and stay informed.